Hi everyone, my name's Daryl. So I recently traveled to Yosemite and on a spur of the moment decided to try to hike Half Dome. I've always been deathly afraid of heights, and even though I tried multiple times to get a daily permit, I didn't have one. So in this video, I'm going to talk about my adventure to hike Half Dome and also going to discuss some tips in hiking Half Dome at the very end. So make sure you watch the whole thing, or if you're considering hiking Half Dome, go to the tips at the end. If the National Park Service is happening to watch this video, you should know I specifically demonetized this video. Also, the purpose of this video is not to make money. The purpose of this video is to show the beauty of Half Dome as well as to give advice for others who are attempting this hike. You should know that no crew was involved, as all footage for this video was shot by myself. So now, on with the story. Yeah, so we planned this trip to Yosemite, and I really, probably maybe 2 weeks ago, I started thinking about perhaps doing the Half Dome Trail. You know, I've been training for the Rim to Rim, and I put in for a daily lottery a couple of times, but I never got in. But I found this group that's let me in, and so now I get to do Half Dome. So yeah, this is gonna be crazy. I think one of the secrets is just to find a larger group, and if they don't have 6, ask them. But I found this really nice group that's let me tag along, so yeah, I'm really happy. Yeah, so I'm about 1.5 miles in, and it's really steep going up the, I think this is the mist trail. Unfortunately, the mist trail, part of it's closed, and so I'm not sure if we can get to Nevada Falls or not, but I think it's closed right now from 7 to 3:30. And so on our way back, I think we're gonna take this trail again, just so that we can see the full trail. This trail was supposedly closed at 7 a.m., but we got here at 7:09, so they hadn't closed it yet. But man, this is unbelievable. Yeah, so these are the steps for the mist trail. So we'll probably get similar steps when we're doing the subdome. We'll see. But pretty darn steep. We got a built-in grotto here. That's cool. Yeah, so I talked about how steep this is, and I don't know if you can get perspective on these steps and how big they are. Yeah, it's rough. So this is Nevada Falls right here. It's so beautiful. I don't think we're quite halfway there. I think we probably did like maybe 3 miles or so. So we got maybe another mile before we get to the halfway point before the subdome. But yeah, I got a ticket, so it's gonna be fun. Okay. Yeah, so we've done 3.2 miles, but 1,750 feet of elevation. So yeah, that's a lot of elevation. I think the total for the hike is 5,000 feet in elevation, so yeah, guess we're a little more than a third of the way up. So we got a long ways to go. Hello. How are you? Great. Yep. Yeah, so I think I'm in Little Yosemite Valley now, and so we're actually going a little downhill after all that elevation. I've gone a little over 4 miles, and I'm not sure about the elevation. I'll bring it up and show it to you on a screenshot. But yeah, this is really nice through here. So you get kind of a little break after all that climbing, so that's really helpful. So yeah, I think we get this for like a mile or so, and then I think we start climbing again. Okay. All right, so I'm at the probably 5.2 mile mark, and I've done 2,600 feet of elevation. So a couple miles away from the subdome, and I've got 2 passes now. One group was that I was with. I kind of went up ahead of them, and then I found another group. So this is our first view of subdome and half dome. Let me zoom in here. Oh wow, look at that. That is beautiful.
Yeah, subdome looks vertical.
All right, so I'm at the base of subdome, and I didn't get a permit, but there's no ranger here. So supposedly when you come back down, and if you don't have a pass, sometimes they can fine you. But I've got a bunch of groups that basically had extra spots on their permit, so I should be fine. And I've got a copy of a permit actually, so I'm gonna be on my way here in a second. Yeah, so this is a subdome, and basically it's a staircase all the way up to the top here. So I thought subdome we were gonna have a bunch of steps to go up, but right here, so for the last 75 yards or so, no steps, and basically you're just kind of climbing up on rock. I mean, it's not terrible, but wasn't exactly what I was expecting. And this is what we have left to climb up. Maybe we'll find some steps up here. All right, so I am at the base of subdome, or the base of half dome. I just did subdome. That was kind of scary, but now I get to go up these crazy cables. It's gonna be fun. All right, so I'm all hooked in and about ready to attempt going up the cables. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, my hands are shaking, and it's because I'm a little nervous. So, see how it goes. All right, so starting my hike up Half Dome, and this is the saddle, and I'm going across. It looks scary on video, but actually pretty easy.
Go backwards. Go backwards. Just like a ladder.
Over done. I'm on my way up the cables. Currently, I'm not using my safety equipment. Doesn't seem all that scary. It's beautiful up here. And have all this way to go. I am 3/4 of the way up the cables. It's my new friend right there. Oh, man. This is crazy. I am almost to the top. Look at this view. Holy crap. All right, so I officially made it to the top of Half Dome. And it's pretty crazy up here. But anyway, yeah, I didn't use my safety equipment going up. It wasn't that bad. It was a kind of a combination of two things. My shoes, I got these Keen kind of speed shoes, and they're really light, and they're also really grippy. And so they say that you don't get a whole lot of grip. People are sliding around, and I saw a lot of people sliding around, but not me. I mean, I had super good grip on the rock. And then also I've got really good upper body strength, and I'm really light. So I only weigh like 150 pounds. So combination of those factors, it really wasn't all that bad. I kind of got up the cables without any problem at all. But yeah, this was great. I didn't actually need a pass because there was no ranger here. It'll be interesting to see when you come back down. They say sometimes when if there's a ranger not there when you go up, that when you go down, that they might ask you for your pass. So we'll see. I did get a picture of the pass from the people that let me take one of their spots. So yeah, so I shouldn't have any problems. All right, so I'm officially starting down on the cables. It was a lot less scary than I thought it was going to be coming up here, and I actually got a little picture of me on the diving board, which, yeah, I don't think I would ever thought I would do that. And so I'm going to go down the cables. I didn't use my safety gear coming up. I'm going to plan on not using my safety gear going down, but we'll just see how it goes. My gloves are really grippy though. It actually might kind of not be great. We'll see. So we'll see you down at the bottom, or I'll get a couple pictures going down. Yeah, so we're heading down Half Dome here, and it's going to be kind of slow going, but just want to make it safely down. And I think you're supposed to go backwards down here. Maybe some part of it I'll do backwards, but I got real grippy gloves and real grippy shoes, so I should be fine. We'll see. Yeah, look at this. It's just unbelievable. So yeah, going up I went really fast, and I didn't have much of a view, but going down I'm going frontwards. And look at this, it's just amazing. Yeah, so this is actually really easy. There's a party up ahead of me that is really slow, so I'm just taking my time. But yeah, you can see it's almost straight down. With the cables, I mean, if you get good gloves and if you have good shoes, it's actually relatively grippy. So I think one of the keys is just not to wear kind of your everyday hiking boots that you wear for this hike. It's, you've got to get relatively fresh, hiking shoes, something with a really whole lot of grip. And that's one of the keys, make them light and make sure that they have a lot of grip and they're relatively fresh, so they've got a lot of tread, and it'll make this hike much easier. So I think this is a pretty good perspective shot, so you can see, how much kind of angle that you're going up or going down. So I'm holding my camera very level, and you can see it's not quite vertical, but I would say this is somewhere in the range of certainly at least 60 degrees or so. So yeah, but I mean, I've got a lot of good grip though with my shoes, and so that's very helpful. All right, so I just got off Half Dome, and yeah, there is what I came down the stairs. And yeah, it took a lot longer actually going down than it did going up, just because we had some slow people. They're taking forever. I probably could have done it really fast, but maybe fast is not great. But the next one, I actually worried more about this next one than the Half Dome, Sub Dome, because there's a couple of areas where, there's no stairs and you're just kind of free climbing down. It wasn't terribly steep and it was pretty grippy, but yeah, I'm a little worried about that. Once I get off that, then I'll feel a lot better. But anyway, so far so good. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So going up, this was scary. Going down, it's really not that bad. I know I got good grip with my shoes, and so even though it's kind of steep, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, so I'm not really digging all these steps down. You can kind of see here just kind of what we're dealing with going down. And it's pretty steep, right? So my knees are holding up, so hopefully I'll be okay. But this is one place where I think it'd be really helpful to have the trekking poles. So yeah, don't forget those. All right, so I'm off Subdome, and yeah, a helicopter came in, and I guess somebody kind of broke their ankle coming down. I'm not exactly sure where, but just a reminder, you really need good ankle support for this hike with all the rocks and unevenness for sure. I'm actually wearing low top, but I've got these ASO ankle kind of support braces, and they work really well. So yeah, make sure you take care of your ankles. Yeah, so really be careful. Yeah, so I just got to a sign. It's 2.5 miles to get back to Yosemite Valley on the Mist Trail, but it's 4 miles on the John Muir Trail. But they say really you're supposed to go back on the John Muir Trail because the Mist Trail, it's misty and it's kind of damp and wet and slippery, and there's a lot of steps. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do the John Muir Trail. Yeah, so it's super beautiful on this John Muir Trail. So yeah, you probably owe it to yourself to go up one direction and then come back the other just to see what that other trail looks like. So this is some more scenery from the John Muir Trail. And it's really a cool little trail. I don't know how long it will stay like this, but it's really awesome. All right, so as promised, here's some tips if you are considering Half Dome. So first of all, the Half Dome hike is just not about hiking Half Dome. It's a very long hike. So depending on the route that you choose, it can be anywhere from 16 to 18 miles. It did take me about 12 hours to complete the hike. And so I would expect for those of you that are attempting this hike to be either in really good shape or also to consider training for the Half Dome hike. Now, I was in the middle of training for my rim to rim hike at the Grand Canyon. And so I've been training quite a bit over the last 3 months. And so I was prepared. But yeah, don't make the mistake and ensure you are ready physically for the rigors of the Half Dome hike. So secondly, the route that you take is pretty important. I went up the Mist Trail to start with, and it's really beautiful. It's very steep. It's very slippery as well, because they call it Mist Trail for a reason. When you're going back down, the advice is to take the John Muir Trail kind of at the Nevada Falls point as you're going down, because the steps are so slippery on the Mist Trail, and if you attempt to go down that with the steepness of it, you could really get in trouble. So the John Muir Trail is about 1.5 miles longer, but it's really beautiful. And so, yeah, you kind of owe it to yourself just to check both trails out. And so that would be my advice. So water and nutrition. I had read about people running out of water, and I didn't think I was going to have any issue whatsoever, but I did. I ran out of water. I ran out of water with about 5 miles to go. I guess I wasn't really paying attention because I was so excited after I got done with Half Dome that I just kept drinking. And yeah, I was a little thirsty at the end. So I would say probably bring at least 5 liters if possible. Also, as you're going down, on the John Muir portion of the trail, as you're heading down, there's a really nice place where you can get water, but you really want to filter the water, so you should have some sort of filter with you. So either bring more water than what you would expect, or have some sort of filter in place so you can filter the water on the trail. The other thing other than water is nutrition. I mentioned this was a 12-hour hike for me, so you need to bring enough nutrition. So I brought, I think I brought oatmeal, I brought 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, I brought a couple of chocolate bars, and what else did I bring? I think that was about it. I could have used a little bit more. So really think about the nutrition that you want to bring, because you're going to burn tons of calories throughout the day. And so you want to make sure that you load up with energy so you don't kind of bonk at the end. Now, I always use trekking poles. I've been using trekking poles since I've been training for the Grand Canyon Rim to Rim hike. But for some reason, I don't know why. For some reason, I didn't bring them with me. And I so wish I did, because it's so steep going up. And it's also relatively steep going down. And so trekking poles would really help with that, both from the energy as well as the safety factor. So do yourself a favor, bring trekking poles. One of the things you are going to need for the cables is a good set of gloves. Now, I brought really sticky gloves with me. They really helped me going up. Going down, I would have probably preferred for them to be a little bit less sticky so I could have slid down a little bit more. But maybe when you're going down, you actually don't want to slide. So, yeah, make sure you invest in some decent gloves. I'll show you the Amazon link that I got, the gloves that I had, and they're really good. I really appreciated them, and they actually, some people say that they like tear up their gloves on the cables, but these gloves held up really well. And so, yeah, I definitely can use them for other projects. So other than gloves, the one thing that you are going to want to have on the subdome as well as the half dome is grippy shoes. So I would recommend that you don't just hike in your regular hiking shoes if, you know, they have some wear on them. A lot of people say that half dome is really slippery, you know, because of all the people that hike on it. But if you get really grippy shoes, I'll show you the particular shoe I have. It's a Keen speed hiking shoe, and it's super lightweight. It's low profile, so you need to check the ankle support if you have weak ankles. But it's very grippy. It's got a, is it a Vibram sole? I know it's regular Keen sole, but it's a very grippy sole. And so other people were slipping on Half Dome, but I wasn't slipping at all. So I had the combination of the really grippy gloves and the really grippy sole of my shoes, and I had no difficulties at all when others were. So yeah, really, really, really think about the shoe choice for this hike. So I think you saw in my footage the helicopter, and that came specifically because somebody either broke their ankle or broke their leg on the hike. And it's sad, you know, because that person was done. So they're all excited. They probably, you know, lost focus a little bit, and then they probably stepped on a rock or something and twisted their ankle and leg. So think about ankle support. So if you do have weak ankles, think about, you know, some sort of ankle support brace. I've got terrible ankles, and also I brought the low profile kind of speed hiking shoe. So I actually wore 2 ankle supports for both the left and the right ankle. It's made by, it's called the ASO ankle brace. It's really lightweight, but it's really great. And so if you do have problems with your ankles, you know, wear a shoe that either has a lot of ankle support or, you know, use some sort of brace as you're doing this hike. Now, as I mentioned, this hike did take me 12 hours. So depending on the time of the year, I mean, I don't think you're going to be hiking Half Dome too much, probably past the end of October or so. But given how long the hike takes, and you really want to enjoy yourself, you don't want to, you know, rush there and rush up Half Dome and rush back down again. You want to spend some time just to see the beauty of the place. So start early. I started at 6 in the morning. I actually wanted to start a little bit earlier than that, but give yourself enough time to really enjoy. Get up really early, beat some of the crowds, and you'll have a great time. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't actually able to get a permit for hiking Half Dome. Now, I did apply. I applied 3 days in a row, and each time I was declined. And they usually send you the decline kind of email right around 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So yeah, that was really disappointing. But basically, on the third day that I was declined, I was like, okay, I did a little bit of research, and there's two things that you can do if you don't have a permit. The one thing that you can do, and this is why I got up, one of the reasons I got up so early, is as you're hiking towards Half Dome, and if you see some larger groups, but they don't have 6 people, because 6 people is the maximum amount of people that you can have on a permit. So let's say you see a group with 4 people or 5 people, they might actually have a permit for 6, but not everybody showed up in their group. And so basically the first group that I saw, and it was even before we started the hike, we were just kind of walking towards the trailhead. I was like, hey, do you guys happen to have an extra permit or an extra slot on your permit? And they're like, well, sure. And so I had a spot to hike Half Dome within the first 5 minutes of the hike. Actually, I want to say a big thanks to Josh. He was one of the members of the first group that I saw that said that I could join them. And yeah, this is a picture of the first group that I joined. They were so nice, and yeah, it was great. But along the way, I kind of left that group. I was traveling a little quicker, and I got to another group, and I asked them, and they're like, "Oh, sure." And so, and I had 2 permits, or 2 groups that I could basically join. I was like, "Oh, I'll meet you at the subdome where the ranger is," and then I found another group a little bit ahead of them, and I actually stuck with that group. Oh, and the other thing too is if there is a ranger there, sometimes there's a walk-up line that I heard about. So you could basically stand in line, and if other groups come up and they don't have all of the people in their party, sometimes you can join that other group. That's another strategy too. So if you don't have a permit, make sure you get up early, and if you're a little bit faster as you pass groups, that also lets you, as you're passing a group, ask them if they have an extra spot on their permit. Now, if you don't have a permit and the ranger isn't there and you start up, you might think you're in the clear, but I've heard of a lot of people that then come back down and they don't have a permit, and then they're fined right away. So I think the normal fine that they give you is like $300 or so, but they can fine you up to $5,000 and supposedly up to 6 months in jail. So you really want to make sure that you do have a permit with you or are joining a group that does have a permit. I think that's really important. The other thing to know is when you are applying for the daily permits, it's not clear. So it's actually $10 for the transaction fee for applying for the permit. And then if you get approved, or if you win the lottery for that day, then it's another $10. So, I did it 3 days in a row and I spent $30 trying to get a permit, and that money is just gone. So also think about that as you're applying for those permits. And so my last piece of advice is if you're scared of heights, or if you're worried about your physical abilities, or, just aren't sure about, your confidence with doing this hike. I am deathly afraid of heights. I'm in good physical shape, but heights is not my thing. I don't like exposure on either side of me. So I was considering doing the hike, and I'm like, man, I kept seeing pictures, and it was just so, seeing the pictures in the video, I'm sure you'll see it if you watch this whole video, it's pretty darn intimidating. But what I did is, I looked for safety gear. So a lot of people recommended the Via Ferrata system, which is a cabling system that has 2 cables that are attached to a big cable system. And it's got a bungee cord kind of on it. So if for some reason that system deploys, it's going to actually take some of that shock out as you're falling, which I don't really like to think about that, but yeah, that's good. So if you are going to bring, if you are concerned, you can consider buying some safety gear. So I went on to Amazon, I bought the Via Ferrata system, and I'll show a link to you. And I also bought a body harness that connects to that Via Ferrata. And I brought it with me. I actually suited up with the safety gear when I was past subdome and just before I got to half dome, and I had every intention to use it. But I did want to see how confident I felt on the cables because I did mention I'm relatively lightweight, 150 pounds, probably under that now, as I've been training for the rim to rim, and I've got a pretty strong upper body, so I work out a lot with my upper body. And so I actually felt pretty confident. So with my combination of my really sticky gloves and my upper body strength and my sticky shoes, I had no problems at all. So I ended up not using the gear. I had it, and I don't think I would have attempted the hike or even went to the hike if I didn't have that safety gear. Having that safety gear with me gave me the confidence that I could get on those cables and not be all that frightened. And so that's something you could consider doing. I actually ended up returning the safety gear, so it didn't cost me anything. But yeah, if you are a little bit afraid of heights and if you are concerned, think about getting some safety gear, and that might give you a little more confidence and the reassurance that you can do it. Anyway, so I really hope that you enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy it or if you learned something, please like it and also consider subscribing to my channel. I'm going to be doing the rim to rim hike in the Grand Canyon, and I've got a couple of videos about that, as well as the actual hike, and those videos will be linked on the end screens as soon as I complete that hike. Okay, so I hope to see you in the next one again very soon.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year.